crazy, but it bugs me if someone gets away with murder. What kind of a city is this?
John Ritter is Hooperman. Ow. Then, Dabney Coleman.
Do me a favor, will you? Put the paper in my hand like that. Thanks for listening.
The Slap Maxwell story after Hooperman, Wednesday.
Real guys are back, and tomorrow on Monday Night Football, most of you will see the Rams at Cleveland. Those of you in the Denver and Minneapolis-St. Paul regions will see the Broncos play the Vikings here. That game would have been played today, but this facility was booked. They had another event, so it's delayed today. We're going to the bottom of the third inning. Game 7 of the World Series. Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver at the Metrodome. 2-1 Cards, Gagne, Puckett, and Gaetti. Gagne struck out in the first. 1-0. Rookie Joe Magrane, 23 years old. One and one. It's a funny game with Magrane pitching in the 7th game of the World Series. The crowd serenaded Roy Smalley of the Twins on his 35th birthday today. He's not in the lineup, but he has finally, after a long career, made it to the World Series. When you take a look at, as we said yesterday, Gene Mauch, a great manager for our money, and he's never been there. Takes funny twists and turns, and then this Tom Kelly, a rookie manager at the age of 37, managing in the World Series and a possible world title.
It's almost cruel the way Gene Mauch has been treated in postseason play, as you see, Tom, who could, if he wins this game, become the youngest manager since Lou Boudreau. Lou was 31 back in 1948, but he was a playing manager.
Got him. Kept it in and down on him, and he's out of there.
Well, same formula as Frank Violi. Gets ahead, and then Gagne chases a ball. Started out as a strike, but good sailing cut fastball in on the hands, and when it ended up, it was about 6 inches inside.
Kirby Puckett had 4 hits yesterday and a single, an infield hit here tonight. So that's 1 shy of the series record. Goose Goslin did it in 24, and he was an old twin in a way as a member of the Washington Senators. Strike.
Not until the World Series, doing a little preparation, did I read about that 1924 World Series and how the Washington Senators won 2 bad hops. One to tie it over Freddie Lindstrom's head. The other one scored Muddy Rule on a bad hop single in the 12th inning, and the winning pitcher, Walter Johnson.
They beat the New York Giants, and that's the last time a 7th game in the World Series went to extra innings. Second and last time. Puckett drives it to deep center field. McGee goes all the way back, leaps up, and has it. Willie McGee does what Kirby Puckett does to so many in the American League. He robs them.
We saw how great a center fielder on the effort he made the other night in St. Louis. Right there, a little premature jump, but boy, does he get up there. Talking triple. And it's so true with another angle. You see a little short of the warning track. Not sure of the field here as much as he would in Busch Stadium. About Kirby Puckett, they said when he gets hot, and we've seen the 5 hits, it doesn't matter what you throw up there. I mean, that was a low and away curveball and went out and raked it almost 410 feet to center field.
Gaetti with 2 out and the bases empty. Lake taking that shot. Willie McGee. And there are a few guys who can appreciate that play more than Puckett, because he's looked at that play from the other end a lot.
This is a wonderful city to come to unless you're an outfielder.
1-0 pitch. In the dirt again, and it's 2-0.
On the other hand, Jim, you can understand how Puckett can make plays like that because of the give of that hefty bag material. You can't do that into the hard rubber of most outfield fences, and I'm sure that's run through Kirby's mind.
Just don't find a beam.
Yeah, right. The beams that are between are on either side of the 4-8 sign, and there's that beam. That is hard.
Well, it's padded, but it's much harder
That's
than the
right.
hefty stuff.
Right.
That fence only being 7 feet high, so if you, even though you're small of stature like Puckett and you can jump 4 or 5 times, he's gone over that fence.
2 out, bases empty. 2-0 on Gaetti. Lawless to Lindemann and off his glove. So a not so routine play, as it turns out. And that's an error on Lindemann. The scoring is an assist on Lawless. That's the way a play like that is scored. And then E3.
Well, we've talked about the lack of arm strength. Right there, it gets the ball to him plenty of times, and he just drops it into the runner, but not that much that he shouldn't come up with it. Not exactly very smooth footwork, Timmy.
That's his 3rd error, and the Cardinals have made 6. Lindemann has half of it. Yeah, it was almost like he was crossing across. It really looked awkward going after the ball.
It looked like he reached before he really saw the throw. He made a stretch and then couldn't adjust.
Don Baylor with 2 out takes low, ball 1.
It makes you appreciate a Herbeck or a Hernandez or a Murray or a Mattingly. Guys that have such smooth feet, you never notice really what they're doing around the bag.
Grounded to Lindemann, and he was almost ready to atone, but it's a foul ball.
You know, that's not Lee Wire's call. The ball wasn't to first base. Lee Wire made the call.
And I'm wondering if he was looking in at Davy Phillips, because until it gets to the bag, the call belongs to Dave Phillips.
Right. So possibly Lee made the call after Phillips went up with both arms.
Watch Davy Phillips right here. Home plate umpire.
He doesn't have the angle.
Ooh.
I'll tell you, that's close.
But it did look foul. Close, yeah.
Close.
1-1. Grounded foul. 1-2.
Dave Phillips didn't jump out right away, and I think Lee Wire had to make the call. Now, True Lindemann landed in foul territory. I'm sure we'll see it one more time. We saw it. But before the ball reaches the first base bag, it's the home plate umpire's call. And Dave did not appear to jump out and look down the line in time to really be in a position to make that call. So Wire really necessarily had to make the call.
Runner goes, pitch is low and inside, and the throw, no chance. Giant jump, and Lake didn't have a prayer to throw Gaetti out. Another look now at the fair or foul.
And this is not an easy call, but see for yourself.
See, when he gloves that ball, I think he was in fair territory. I think he may have been right on the line. Obviously, his momentum took him into foul territory.
Now that we've looked 3 times, I agree with you.
Maybe, you know.
2-2 to Baylor. Got him swinging. So the error does no damage, and we'll move to the 4th in Game 7. Still 2-1 St. Louis.
Peter said I could have anything I wanted. So I took his Van Heusen shirt right off his back.
Van Heusen, for a man to wear and a woman to borrow.
What if things you never thought of in color were suddenly in color? That's how we thought of our new Delta faucets. They'll color the whole way you look at faucets, and maybe everything else. Delta washerless faucets, designs that last.
There's a vacancy at the Bates Motel.
Norman, is that you?
No, it's Spuds MacKenzie, and it could be you. Look for this display and enter Bud Light Psycho Sweepstakes to win a Bud Light party with Spuds MacKenzie at the Psycho Mansion. You could even get a mug like Spuds at participating retailers. Wow!
That Spuds is so cool, it's scary.
Shearson Lehman Brothers. where we stand. The extraordinary events in the stock market are as unsettling as they are unprecedented. To help you through this difficult time, all Shearson Lehman Brothers offices will remain open late. Now, more than ever, talk with us. Shearson Lehman Brothers, minds over money.
Here's why these members of the United States ski team prefer Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
I came down with some mean cold symptoms. I was congested, I was tired, I couldn't breathe through my nose. I took Alka-Seltzer Plus and it helped to remove those cold symptoms.
I've got a number of guys that are depending on me, and I have to be out there the next day. And Alka-Seltzer Plus really helps me do that.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds.
It's the first time I've ever found anything that actually worked for me.
The key may be here. Watch Dave Phillips, the home plate umpire. As the ball approaches first base, Phillips doesn't get in the proper position to make that call. Consequently, Wire's not in the right position, and Phillips' arms go up after Wire makes the call.
And the way it turns out, at least, it winds up inconsequential because Baylor strikes out. So it, as it turns out, has no effect. And in the fourth inning, McGee starts things off for the Cardinals.
Yes and no. He only had to throw 3 or 4 more pitches, and it makes it a little more difficult. 2 more to strike him out. So it's make your work a little bit harder. I mean, not a major happening.
1-0 pitch, and it's 1-1. Certainly not like a home run on the next pitch.
A lot of tough calls tonight. And we get to see him 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's right. And 2 of them have involved Don Baylor. The out call at home, and then the slicing ground ball down first.
1-2 on Willie McGee. McGee, Pena, and Oquendo. 4th inning at the Metrodome in Game 7. 1 game for the title, and the Cardinals lead 2-1. Viola gets McGee. That is McGee. If you've watched him in postseason, he's a real good hitter, has been. He's won a batting title, but he will strike out during the course of the season 50 times on pitches way out of the strike zone.
Well, 9th time in this World Series. You can see he's disappointed again, just as Lindemann. He expanded the strike zone, and the key to really the way as you look at a disappointed Willie McGee is that Viola is getting ahead again, and they're chasing bad pitches. Excuse me, hasn't really established his changeup tonight, something that he used in the first game.
He has struck out 4, and he has struck out the last 3, and he's retired 5 in a row. Pena fouls it away, and it's 0-1.
That's that pitch you were talking about where Tom Kelly wants it in on his fist. The fastball, instead of away, which has resulted in a base hit, come in on him, Tim.
And also you're in a position now to feed to a hitter's strength. There's nobody on base. Sometimes you get hurt doing that, but with nobody on, that's when you want to throw the fastball hitter the fastball.
One and one. As if they need more reason to make noise, a wave rolls around the Metrodome.
Indoor wave.
Surfs up.
They ought to have a no-wake rule in Major League Baseball.
1-2 on the ever-smiling Pena.
I think waves are becoming to crowds what leisure suits are to clothing.
Passe?
Absolutely. Way passe.
Ancient history, yes.
You mean you haven't seen Palmer's Closet recently? One and 2 to count on Pena. Got it. And boy, is he insane.
don't think Whitey likes what he sees. Why throw a strike when they'll swing at balls? What's this? I mean, he's throwing about 93 miles per hour, but why throw it in the zone? And this is one of the few pitchers that can pitch within the strike zone, but if they're not going to make you, why do it?
Okendo grounds it to Gaetti, who corrals it and throws him out. 7 straight set down by Viola. 3.5, 2-1 Cardinals.
Yes, Mrs. Ferber. I'll be right over.
What's up?
It's Alex. He's been burying things in Mrs. Ferber's garden again.
Right here.
Alex, a bottle of Stroh's.
Keep digging.
Nice, Alex. A 15-pack.
Keep digging.
With Stroh's and Stroh Light 15 and 30 packs, you get more beer.
How did he get a whole truck down there?
Why don't we ask the driver?
When you have miles to go and promises to keep.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
You could just discover new Chevrolet Corsica. And find not just a sports sedan with exceptional road performance, but a sports sedan designed to keep all your promises.
The heartbeat of America.
Corsica.
That's today Chevrolet.
Here's to the winners, those who move mountains. Here's to the miracles they make us see.
Holiday Inn welcomes you, the people who know that winning at life is working hard at it and living it fully day after day.
Here's to the winners, all of us can be.
Holiday Inn salutes you. Here's to the winners. We're on your way.
This cold medicine gives you 12 hours of relief and comes highly recommended by pharmacists. But what 12-hour cold medicine do pharmacists recommend even more? Drixoral, the pharmacist's favorite.
A lot of people are really going to feel the cold this winter, so add an extra layer of Owens Corning pink insulation. Owens Corning, we put your house in the pink.
This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. We're going to the bottom of the 4th. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, and Tim McCarver. Game 7 of the World Series. Tom Brunansky leads off for the Twins with the Cardinals on top 2-1. And he hits it in the air to shallow left field. Coleman comes charging in, puts it away. 1 pitch and 1 gone, and it will bring up Kent Hrbek. All of the scoring in the 2nd inning. The Cardinals with 4 singles for their 2 runs, and then the Twins a hit batsman and then 3 singles to net 1 run, and they also had what would have been the tying run thrown out at the plate when Don Baylor was cut down. I say would have been the tying run. That would have been the first run, and then they subsequently scored. And Hrbek, of all things, bunts to try to get on, and he's out. Lefty against lefty, and even though he took Daly deep yesterday, he was struck out by McGrain in the 2nd, and he figured he would try to cross him up.
Well, excellent play by McGrain. 6-6, bounces off the mound. You can see where Wallace is playing. He gets a better bunt down, but you work on this all spring, and pays off in the 7th game of a World Series. Not an easy play. You got to turn around and wheel, pick up the first baseman. Hrbek does not run that well, and he makes an excellent throw to Lindemann.
So 2 down, bases empty in the bottom of the 4th inning. Laudner, the hitter. McGrain has almost gotten Herzog where he wants to be, because he was deathly afraid of McGrain getting bombed early, and then he would have had to go to Cox or Tunnel, and he didn't want to do that early on. Now he's almost to the point where he can count on Cox for an inning or 2, and then you got Daly and Laurel. But an early knockout might have been disaster for the Cardinals.
Well, he said his biggest problem all year has been middle relief, and I think it maybe bothers as you look at Danny Cox. Only 2 days rest. You really don't know how he's going to feel, but the desire is there, so you might see him later.
2-1.
Whitey telling us before the game that everybody on the roster is available but Greg Matthews, the left-hander, and John Tudor, the left-hander.
And Tom Pagnozzi has a touch of the flu, but he's available. And the Twins are all healthy. 3-1. Starting Game 7 as rookies, you go back to Stottlemyre, the last to do it in '64 for the Yanks. Joe Black, who spent most of his career as a relief pitcher with the Dodgers, started a 7th game in '52. Steve Lombardozzi comes up. He singled in the 2nd inning. And yesterday he was 3 for 4.
Steve's brother Chris, a second baseman in the New York Yankee chain, 21 years old, and at the game this evening, as are his parents.
His parents look like his brother and sister.
They really do.
Laudner with no speed. Lindemann can afford to play behind him. In the air to McGee, and Willie puts it away to end the 4th inning. At the end of 4, still 2-1 Cardinals. Back after this word from your local station.
Every week, more people get their news from ABC News than any other source.
We try to look at the world with a very exacting eye.
Expect the world of ABC News.
What will Minnesota do to honor the Twins after the World Series? And how will the fans react to tonight's final out? A special Twins Fever 87 immediately after the game.
This is it, the final weekend of the World Series in the Metrodome. We at Midwest Fellow are proud to be bringing you the play-by-play action today. This is our 18th consecutive year of sponsoring the Twins on radio and television. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your customers and friends. This has been a great season, and you fans have supported the Twins all through the year. You deserve a lot of credit. Now let's get back to the game and cheer our Twins on to victory over the St. Louis Cardinals.
91 Bravo, proceeding on rescue training mission.
One weekend a month, you can take off for the beach, the mountains, or a drive in the country in the Army Reserve.
Subject spotted.
All that you can be.
It's no picnic, but it's the kind of excitement no other weekend offers.
Mission completed. We're heading home.
And you'll still have 3 weekends a month to take off on your own.
Find your future in the Army Reserve.
Thousands of people in American business who understand that if you don't make dust, you eat dust. We offer the telecommunication services of U.S. West and Northwestern Bell. Nobody knows the trails better.
Is the HMO honeymoon over? A special assignment report starting Tuesday.
You know, before the game, we talked about the mood before a 7th game. It's a tight game. What is the mood in the dugout in the middle of a tight 7th game?
I think apprehension. I mean, the trend here in this World Series has been big innings, and they've both been able to stay away from it. Looks like this is going to be the first game that may be decided by 1 run, something we haven't seen.
I think the most relaxed guys in the ballpark are the guys on the field.
Fifth inning. And Lawless, the number 8 hitter, to be followed by Lake and Coleman. 2-1 St. Louis. Lawless flied out in the 2nd inning. Frank Viola, who has shut down the last 7. Lawless pops it up, and it's Herbeck in foul territory.
Well, back in the second inning, he gave up 4 base hits, almost all of them on strikes in the strike zone. Now he has stayed out of the strike zone, thrown enough strikes to get ahead, and they are expanding the strike zone. That ball is almost over Lawless's head. So he's throwing well, and they're expanding the strike zone, and it's been a good result for Frank Viola and the Twins.
Steve Lake now. Lake did a nice job along with Pagnazzi earlier in the season. They picked up Tony Pena to solve their catching problems, and then Pena got hurt in April. And it was Lake and Pagnazzi who did a lot of good early work to get the Cardinals off and flying. 1-1.
A lot of hitters do that, and they do it and check for hairline fractures. Usually you do that on the handle, because you can actually hit when a bat is splintered a little bit, but not a lot.
That's the end of that bat.
Speaking of splinters.
Yeah. On a grounder to second. A broken bat. Ground ball to Lombardozzi. 2 down. Viola has shut down 9 in a row after a tough second inning. And up comes Coleman with 2 down.
Well, he can pitch so much like the entire pitching staff was able to pitch all year. The minute they get Jeff Reardon, 31 saves, and Baron Gehr, you know as a starter, you go out there, pitch your 6-7 strong innings. If your team can hit like the Twins can, you have a good chance of winning a ball game, something they couldn't do last year.
1-0 on Coleman. 2 out, bases empty in the top of the 5th. And Whitey, I don't know if Whitey is superstitious or not, but he eschews the patio furniture.
Yeah, and 29 runs scored in 3 games. I'd move too.
And we've never seen Whitey in an empty chair. Strike. 1-1. But think about Whitey through the years. We have seen him when we saw him in his beach furniture here earlier in the series, and he's always standing against that wall in St. Louis. Different seat tonight. 1-2.
This is normally not a good play with 2 out, nobody on. But if Coleman gets on first base, the chances of him getting to second are great. So that's why a bunt with 2 out, nobody on for a guy like Vince Coleman is a pretty good play. If Tim Laudner did it, or Jim Lindemann or somebody, it would be a bad play.
Frank Viola has set down 10 in a row at the end of 4.5. 2-1 Twins. The St. Louis Cardinals lead 2-1.
Success Stories, brought to you by Citicorp.
The Yankees won 6 world titles in the 50s and hoped for more championships in the 60s. Despite New York victories of 16-3, 10-0, and 12-0, a determined Pittsburgh team forced the Yankees to a 7th game. With the score tied 9-9 in the bottom of the 9th, Pittsburgh's Bill Mazeroski homered on Ralph Terry's second pitch for a dramatic win. The Pirates had survived the Yankees' onslaught and succeeded in bringing Pittsburgh its first world championship in 35 years.
Because Citicorp understands the drive to succeed, to do more than just get by, we've become the nation's largest financial services company, already helping 1 in every 5 American families, with more student loans, more home mortgages, more MasterCard and Visa cards than any other company. Citicorp and Citibank, we'd like you to get to know us better. Citicorp, because Americans want to succeed, not just survive.
This winter, one antifreeze will guarantee your radiator. Use new Prestone Advanced Formula after Prestone Super Flush. And should our protection fail, we'll pay for your radiator repairs. Prestone, the antifreeze that guarantees your radiator.
They're going to California for the weekend.
It's a frequent flyer thing. 40,000 miles and they both fly free.
I've got 40,000 miles. We're going to the mall.
Some airlines make you fly nearly 40,000 miles for 1 free trip. On Northwest, you get 2.
I'll get it, Alex.
Mel's Market. Here's your order.
What order?
Side of beef.
I didn't order.
Here's your delivery, sir.
What delivery?
Your Stroh's 30 packs.
Stroh's. Alex?
Nah. Stroh's and Stroh Light. Fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste. And with 30 packs, you get more beer.
Pardon? Gears Pet Shop. Here's your poodle.
Oh, Alex.
Almost everybody says in both the American and National League you can't pitch high. This is 4 out of the last 7 Cardinal hitters. Jim Lindemann, Willie McGee. Take a look at Tony Pena. And to end it, Vince Coleman. Tell that to Frank Sciola, as we saw the sign in the stand say. In the running for the Cy Young Award in the American League, along with many others.
In the running, but the votes are in. They just haven't been announced yet. Dan Gladden takes inside. 1-0. Gladden, Gagne, and Puckett, bottom of the 5th inning, and Danny Cox is throwing in the pen. On the leadoff man. McGrain has faced 18 men through 4. It means he's going through the lineup now for the 3rd time.
One of the big advantages, even though Gladden has hit a grand slam home run, 3-1 with a 1-run lead, you have to challenge the hitter. So you throw it to the middle of the plate, hope you get a strike, and he did.
Smith, and that's as good as gold. 1 out.
It is gold.
The Midas touch, you say?
Well, it's so obvious after seeing him play 7 consecutive games. He just plays so differently than other shortstops. Acrobatically, jumping over runners, threw it from midair the other day.
Gagne with 1 out. Gagne has struck out twice. To the right side, confusion by Lindemann. McGrain covers, and no, safe. McGrain thought he was there. Wire says no. Lindemann didn't know which way to go. He started to first, then he went for the ball. He didn't know where to be.
And then he complicates it with a bad throw. It's behind Joe McGrain, and McGrain has to reach back for the ball, and then he can't find first base, or at least it didn't appear that he found it. See right here, he breaks right away. Sinker down and in. There you can see him moving. You're taught to do that in spring training. Any ball to the right side. Now, watch where the throw is. Left-handed, should be on that side. Right there, he doesn't look like he sees the bag, and when he gets there, if he ever does, Gagne's across the bag. See, he can't see it. If the throw was out in front of him, he would have had a chance to catch it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it looked like he did touch it.
Well, he did, but and the replay shows it, but it wasn't done the proper way. So what you do is you give Lee Wire a confused look. Instead of just going over there and making it routine. Now watch this. He's moving. They're talking about Lee Wire. He's looking at the play, but it's not exactly a kick the bag and get off the bag like you're supposed to do. He made the play very difficult, but the play should have been called.
Well, Jim Lindemann made it difficult.
Yes.
McGrain did everything he could to make it well, and he's out of there.
It's a confused look and a hook. In comes Danny Cox with 1 out in the 5th.
Happy trails to... AT&T comes through with an advanced telemarketing solution. When a trucker's down, he needs service fast. But where does he find help in the middle of nowhere? That's why Goodyear turned to AT&T. Now a trucker just calls 1-800 number to reach the nearest service outlet. So he can get back on the road in no time at all. And sometimes, even sooner. From equipment to networking, from computers to communications, AT&T is the right choice.
Take me back where I belong. Take me where it's safe and warm.
The Goodyear Vector is the all-season radial that pumps water away to keep more tire tread on the road. And for some, that's a comforting thought.
Take me home, Goodyear, take me home. Never matters how far I go, Goodyear, take me home.
Thank you. You know, snacking's a big part of that TV football season, so let's kick off that season with some cheese, glorious cheese. Here's how. You slice some fruit, eat it with cheese during a game. Breadsticks, eat them with cheese during the game, or eat cheese plain during a game. Halftime, go to the store, stock up on cheese, eat it during a game. Till next time, I'm the Hasty Gourmet. Bye-bye.
Cheese, glorious cheese. Listen to the heartbeat. Chevy S10 of America. This is our road, nothing stands in the way. This truck, this man, will work or play.
When you want to go from freewheeling to 4x4 fun, Chevy S10 lets you do what Ford and Toyota can't. Shift and keep right on going with standard InstaTrack.
The heartbeat of America. Chevy S10 today's Chevy truck.
Well, the responsibility right here, of course, is the throws a little bit behind him. It looks like the Tucson two-step. Tried to tag it with his right leg, brushes it with his left. Again, this is the pitcher's play to call. The minute the ball is hit, you yell, I got it, you take it. And the play develops late. It looks like he brushes the base and then argues with Lee Wire. Again, didn't give him a good look, but it did appear he was out.
Danny Cox now comes in to pitch on 2 days rest. He has not pitched in relief in 3.5 years. In his major league career, he has pitched twice in relief, both times in '84. Here's Puckett. Gagne at first, 1 out. Ripped toward the gap in right center field for extra bases, up against the fence. Gagne around third, on his way in. The game is tied on a double.
Kirby Puckett inside outs this. It's on the inside part of the plate. The barrel is snapped through, and he just hooks it away from McGee. The carom is the difference there because the wall does not allow the ball to come back to McGee. Gagne scores easily.
So tied at 2, Puckett at second, and here's Gaetti, who is 0 for 2. 0-1. Puckett at second, 1 out. One and one.
I'm really surprised that Whitey does not have somebody up, because if you're Danny Cox, you're going to tell him, and you can see that was on a high slider. You can see the graphic. You're going to tell him you feel great, but this is the day you usually throw between starts, not in the 7th game of a World Series.
Off his foot, foul ball.
The point I'm trying to make is you just don't know how you're going to feel. It's not something you've done before, at least not in recent years. So the will is there, but is the stuff there?
And Whitey has 1 out in the bottom of the 5th inning. So he has at least 4 2/3 innings. And he's got Worrell and he has Daly. But later. Blocked by Lake.
Jim, I don't know of anybody who knows any better what it's like to be a starting pitcher and come in relief like you did in the '83 series.
Mike Rourke going for the phone. That's Todd Worrell, who we may see later. Their #1 right-handed stopper is Mike Rourke. Goes up with a lefty.
That would mean either Daly or Horton.
Right.
He walked them.
Well, I came in '83. I had been used in relief towards the end of the year. I remember a playoff game where I pitched one day and came back the next day and pitched actually better the day I relieved. But in this ballpark, a small park, if you don't know what kind of fastball you have and you're doing something that you're unaccustomed to, you end up walking guys. And when you walk guys, you have big innings. And every game in this World Series has been decided by big innings.
2-2. Daly gets up in the bullpen. With Puckett at second and Gaetti at first and Don Baylor at the plate. It gets away from Lake, and he throws to third, and they get him. Puckett delayed. Then he saw that the ball had gotten free, and by that time it hadn't gotten that far away from Lake. He's able to recover and throw him out.
And that was the key. Steve Lake couldn't find the ball. Had Kirby gone initially, possibly he would have made it. But watch Lake. The backhand, now he can't find it. Puckett thinks it has dribbled away farther than it actually had. He's an easy out at third.
Well, that's the toughest play for a runner when the ball is directly behind the catcher because he doesn't have any perspective.
And if your third base coach is trying to tell you to hold up, forget it. You can't hear anything.
That's right. Also, you look at Baylor, though. He's the guy that could help you. Right there, it goes behind him. So he's giving him the sign.
Yeah, you could help him, but if you've got to rely on a coach in a situation like that, it's too late. You've got to rely on your own instincts.
2-0 the count.
That ball looked like it came up and hit Davy Phillips, as a matter of fact. Otherwise, it probably rolls a little farther away.
Two and one. Gaetti at second. 2 down. Tied at 2 in the 5th.
Best time to nail a runner if you're a catcher is when there are 2 outs, because the runner at second base is going on contact. Watch this ball come up and actually hit Davy Phillips. Otherwise, it's really a wild pitch, a legitimate one. Second, third, 1 out.
Side of the mask.
Yeah.
Baylor loops it into left field for a base hit. Coleman charges. Here comes the throw home, and he is out. Lake holds the ball. Woo! What a play by Lake. You've got Gaetti coming in full speed, and nobody plays the game like Gaetti. And Steve Lake, charged and bruised and battered, but keeps the Cardinals tied at 2. I'm scrunching in my mouth. It's super good.
In McDonald's, we're tossing salads fresh all day, every day.
The chef salad is super. The ham, the cheese, the turkey.
You name it, it's got it here.
I could run in and get a salad, and kids could get hamburgers.
The chicken salad oriental. It's just like my grandmother would make.
Look at these big pieces of chicken. Look at that.
And it's always been fresh any time of day. It's so fresh. What more could you want?
Tossed fresh all day. Make McDonald's salads.
I'm going to eat a lot of them.
I'm here for some straight talk about the stock market. It's important to everyone,
It provides capital that creates jobs to make America grow. Emotions can run high during market turbulence, just when reason should prevail. We are confident in the markets. We've stayed active in them for all investors. America's economy is the strongest in the world with great ability to bounce back. At Merrill Lynch, we're still bullish on America.
You mad, Dad? Look, I didn't drive.
Terrific. You're drinking and underage.
But I called.
Well, that's a contract we signed. We'll talk tomorrow.
You are mad.
Greg, I'm scared. Scared of losing you. Your mom and me, we love you too much to lose you.
The Students Against Driving Drunk Contract for Life saves lives. It's available from Aetna.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Crank it up, feel the muscle.
Cavalier Z24, multi-port fuel-injected V6, short-throw 5-speed, slick new ground effects, the works. New Cavalier, it's a bold new look with the hardware to back it up.
Let it rock, the heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevrolet.
The ball was not hit sharply. Now watch Gaetti come trucking home. Coleman, as we pointed out, charges the ball well, and a catcher, all he wants to do is get it in his bare hand. The catcher's mitt is not designed for a slap tag. That's why it's a remarkable play by Steve Lake. Ooh. Gaetti has every right to nail Lake in that situation. Nothing else you can do.
Ozzie Smith hits a pop-up, caught by Gagne. One out in the top of the sixth, and Tommy Herr coming up.
Watch the bench after Gaetti goes in hard to Lake. Watch the Cardinal bench.
And Gene Gieselman leading the charge to make sure Lake was okay. The trainer, the first man out there. One gone. Tommy Herr takes inside, ball one. Smelling salts, you betcha.
Another look as Lake does what he has to, and so does Gaetti. Reminds me of the '70 All-Star game, Fosse and Rose.
Similar shot.
Well, we were talking about Lake before he of The Life Imitates Art, watching the open of the game on television, then going through the double doors. He wishes this was art right now. But it's life. And he's feeling it.
Problem that Lake has to worry about now is really not the left part of the body unless it's a knee or a hinge. It's his throwing arm. And even though he was hit on the left side by Gaetti, he did fall on the throwing arm. So maybe we won't know until the next half inning whether he's all right or not when he comes back out there.
And there's another problem, 2-2. If they had to take Lake out and catch Pena, Pena's a designated hitter, and under the rules, that would mean the Cardinals would lose their designated hitter for the rest of the game, and the pitcher would have to hit. And so Whitey's really got a problem if Lake can't make it back out. The other catcher, Pagnozzi, has the flu. That's grounded into center field for a base hit. So Tommy Herr with a one-out single, and Lindeman is the batter. 2-2 tie in the sixth inning. Lake right next to Gieselman. And Danny Cox on the other side.
That's what I'm saying about Cox. He throws one fastball and Puckett doubles. Baylor hits the slider to left field. So it doesn't look like he's real strong.
Meanwhile, Viola had retired 11 in a row. Now Herr at first base. And Lindeman at the plate. Takes a strike. 0-1.
I'll tell you, Vince Coleman deserves a lot of credit because he gave Lake a chance both times by getting the ball to him as quickly as possible. Vince with 16 assists on the year, and none of his assists in his Major League career have been as important as the 2 tonight.
2 tonight that ties a record, a World Series record held by many, 2 in a game. On Jim Lindemann. Kelly and Such is going to go to the phone, meaning bullpen. Meaning Berenguer and Schatzeder. Schatzeder to the lefty.
Good play by Hrbek. Very quick. You're so surprised at how quick Ken Hrbek at 260 pounds or 50 pounds is. That's a tough play. You got to go around the runner to make the play. A lot more difficult than it appears.
One and two. One out. 2 and 2 on Lindemann with McGee to follow.
It appears to me, Tim, that he's really trying to be careful with Lindemann. You throw a fastball out over the plate. He had a home run swing. He's had 3 hits off him the last 2 games. So you can see Lautner trying to move in, but once again, as he has done to Tommy Herr, he's run the count to 2 and 2. Has to throw a strike or he has to be around the plate.
Full count now on Lindemann with Herr at first base. I would suspect he'll be going.
Bet the ranch on it.
And he can run 19 stolen bases during the regular season and only been thrown out 4 times. So not only a pretty good base runner as far as speed, but in this situation you don't have to be too smart.
The one thing you have to do though here is make sure he pitches. Viola with a good move. It's up to the hitter to put the ball in play, similar to a hit and run.
He goes, and it's popped foul back out of play. So 3 and 2 on Lindemann. Cardinals got 2 runs in the second. Twins with 1 in the second, including a man thrown out at the plate in that inning, and 1 in the 5th, and another man thrown out at the plate.
And you can look for the second baseman to be covering. I would assume Herr will be going again. Lindemann has shown that he rarely hits the ball on the ground the other way. Therefore, the second baseman, Lombardozzi, should be covering.
Herr goes. Lindemann pops it up. And back out of play.
Well, what makes it a little bit easier, I guess, from a pitcher standpoint, is that 3 and 2, 1 out, you have to throw a strike. So you take a little bit longer, and really at this point, you'll sacrifice a stolen base for not walking Lindemann. Not something you want to do, but the 3-2 count dictates that you have to come into the hitter. You cannot rush your delivery, try to get rid of the ball too quickly and end up walking him and create the first and second situation.
To Lombardozzi, to Viola. Viola backed up on the play, and Hacker says, how can you possibly call him out? And here comes Herzog, and good luck with Whiting and Wire here, with Lee hearing anything.
Well, I'll tell you, from the naked eye, there was no way that Herr was out. But on the other hand, there is no way Tommy Herr can get picked off. As we mentioned earlier, it's up to the hitter to put the ball in play. Tommy gets nailed here, you've got to make sure the pitcher goes home. What we said a couple of pitches ago. But he is clearly safe. Hrbek almost. That's interference on top of it. He should be awarded second base. 2 times.
Absolutely.
A fielder cannot block the base paths without the ball. So you have interference, and he's safe.
Outside of that, no problem.
Safe, as safe as there are months in a year.
12 of them. After a controversy-free first 6 games, we've had enough for an entire series tonight. Fly ball off Lindemann's bat to Brunansky. End of a wild top of the 6th. Still 2-2.
Kurt.
IBM presents You Make the Call. With a count of 2 strikes on a batter, a pitcher takes too long to throw the ball. The batter asks for time and steps out of the box just as the pitcher appears to throw the 3rd strike. Is the batter out? You make the call.
7 years ago, McNeil Hospital was perceived as a sick institution. Part of the cure was a new information system.
We chose IBM. Our relationship with IBM has been very much a partnership.
Check first.
We depend on their equipment and their software 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The computer has freed the nurse from doing paperwork to doing patient work.
Oh, I like that smile. Isn't that a nice smile?
You're in good shape, kid.
A batter can ask for time anytime he pleases, but only the umpire can grant his request. In this case, he clearly didn't. So if you said the batter was out, then you made the right call.
Well, Bob, here it is. Top of the ninth, 2 out. Kaminsky's at bat.
And here's the pitch. Uh-oh, that ball's going. You can kiss that, baby. Holy cow, it hit the Sproles billboard in right field.
I know that 30-pack is big.
But, Jim, would you look at the size of that billboard?
I know, Bob. That's what Kaminsky was looking at. And look who just got tagged out at second.
The Stroh's 15 and 30-pack. With more cans in every case, what more could you ask for?
Mr. Belvedere's back on primetime.
Hey, guys.
Who's a dummy?
I was just about to ask the same question.
And Brian Keith returns to television.
Daughter certainly is outgoing. Mind if I take a crack at her?
He's one professor who makes history come alive.
All right, yes.
Thomas Jefferson, Magic Johnson, and introducing Paul Provenza. The Pursuit of Happiness premieres Friday following the return of Mr. Belvedere.
Tommy Herb picked off on a 3-2 pitch. That's one thing that went wrong. Now watch the others as far as the rundown play is concerned. Hrbek, without the ball, illegally blocking her. Her should be awarded second base, and the tag by the pitcher Viola is late, and Wire, had insult to injury, calls him out. And on top of that, Viola may have balked on his throw over there.
The hat trick.
2 of them.
Well, Lombardozzi held it too long. Hrbek blocks Lee Wire. You won't see it right now. There's the interference. Viola doing his best. He's saying, why am I in? Right there, you see the blockage. He can't see what happened.
He's blocked out on top of it.
Viola says, I don't want to be in this play.
Neither did Lee, I think.
Neither did Tommy.
Oh.
1-0 the count on Brunansky. 2-0. And the thing about the crowd here is so loud. That's the type of play where if Herzog can be heard, he's out there a lot longer.
I'm not too sure that Whitey was arguing about interference. I think he was arguing about the out call. If he's arguing about interference, he may have asked for help from Dave Phillips, the home plate umpire, who had a better view.
2-0 pitch is a strike. It's futile, though. It's ridiculous to attempt to have an argument with somebody here. You just can't hear a man standing next to you.
Could go inside.
Yeah, right. Step in here, sir.
I'll tell you, if the instant replay comes in baseball, it'll come into this ballpark first.
3-1. Danny Cox still struggling. Remember, Cox has faced 3 men, gave up a double to Puckett, walked Gaetti, and gave up a single to Baylor, and only got out of the inning because Coleman threw Gaetti out. And he walks him. So he has yet to retire a man on his own. And Hrbek comes up.
Well, what you said early in the pre-game show is so true. Cox is facing a guy that's got as many home runs as the entire Cardinal team, 32, and you don't know what you have. You know the guy can hit a home run. You're trying to make your pitch, and he's been unable to do it so far.
He faced Brunansky with 32, and now he faces Hrbek, who had 34 during the regular year. Struck out, grounded out.
28 of them off right-handers. 20 in this ballpark. A couple more numbers.
Rourke nodding, and the nod means as Whitey paces activity in the pen. And it might be Worrell who gets up. Two and 0. And it is, it's Todd Worrell. And here comes Rourke. One advantage that Herzog has in a game like this, as opposed to a game in the National League Park, if he does go with Worrell and it's early, he doesn't have to worry about hitting for the pitcher. With a DH, you just go through the lineup, of course, so you can leave him in as long as he's strong.
Well, another advantage is he has Ken Daly behind Worrell, and Daly is better against right-hand hitters, at least a lot of the twin right-handers hit better against righties than they do lefties. So the matchup that seems something you don't want to really cause shouldn't affect them that much.
On top of that, Worrell may be used to get out of this inning and work maybe one more before they make a move, because really you can make a case for this being a very big inning. If they score here, the Cardinals a tough time playing catch-up ball. So maybe he's using him as a short man, even though it's the 6th inning.
Brunansky at first, and the pitch is a change for a strike. 2-1 on Hrbek. Two-two tie. Bottom of the 6th. Nobody out. Three and 1.
Back-to-back changeups, and the last time Cox threw 3 back-to-back changeups. Randy Bush with the bases loaded back in game 2 hit a double down the right field line.
First and second.
I think you may see Steve Lake go out and talk to Cox again. Yep. That's what Whitey just told him to do, and there he goes. You got to buy time right now. Worrell hasn't been warming up that much.
The whole infield is going to help buy some time here. And also, they've got to discuss all the possibilities with first and second and nobody out, and you've got to get that close to be heard. That's a tight-knit group.
Thing here is that Cox is a better fielder than Worrell. Whitey's going to make the move here. Worrell is not one of the better Cardinal fielders. Very tall. Cox a much better fielder. So Todd maybe can run it with a bunting situation when he gets in there.
But I think Whitey feels Cox just doesn't have it. He's walked 3, he's given up a single and a double, and he can't go any longer. And Danny says, hey, man, I tried my best. And there's a few words from the umpire as well.
Until we meet. Good old Dad. Mr. Advice. He had advice on everything. Marriage, jobs, even insurance. Work with the best in the business, he'd say. Work with Aetna. Aetna for your house, car, life insurance. It was his way of saying, I love you. Mr. Advice. Now I really need advice. Because today, Dad, you became a grandfather.
These are the halls of medicine, and within these halls you'll find comfort for a sore and scratchy throat, a way to quiet a hacking cough, and a feeling of relief for a stuffy nose. Because these halls are real medicine with vapor action to bring you fast relief for your cold. These are Hall's Mentholyptus cough tablets. These are the halls of medicine.
The test of a great airline is not just how fast it moves you in the air, but how fast it moves you on the ground. That's why at some of the busiest airports in the world, United Airlines offers you the most advanced baggage systems, faster ticketing and boarding procedures, and the most spacious, convenient, efficient terminals in the business. United Airlines, from the ground up, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
Radio Shack's sale price Tandy 1000 TX brings the gift of a true high-speed business computer to your home affordably. PC compatible, easy to use, with 7 ready-to-run programs for the family. Keep a budget, write term papers, even create graphics or learn music. Save $250 on the high-speed Tandy 1000 TX, color monitor included, only $1249. Tandy Computers, because there is no better gift value. Only at Radio Shack.
Well, Danny Cox departing, and then departing from the scene as Davy Phillips, as he voices his displeasure. I didn't see any questionable pitches, not even close.
I didn't either.
But the same thing that allows Cox to maybe get thrown out is the reason I think Whitey Herzog went to him, as you see the toss by Davy Phillips. He's got great character, wants the ball in the big games, and even though he may not have been on, he wanted to pitch, and he wasn't able to do it very effectively.
Just couldn't do it. Now Worrell, nobody out, with Brunansky at second and Herbeck at first, and the Cardinals have to protect against the bunt with Laudner at the plate. He squares and looks at a strike, with Lindemann charging and Lawless on that play backing up to cover third.
A perfect play situation to have a guy that's bunting. You have a guy that throws about 96 miles per hour, throws the textbook high fastball that might induce a pop-up. You have a slow runner. You have AstroTurf where you have guys who can charge. You have the situation normally where he will go to third, first baseman will charge, and you'll try to get the force at third. A lot of things can happen here.
Lindemann charges. It's outside. They throw down to second, and Ozzie is able to scoop it out of the dirt.
Bernansky. Ozzie ran back to center field with the ball in his glove, trying to make Bernansky think that the ball got by him. Strong throw by Lake, but a short hop and a good play by Smith. Now watch him.
It's exactly what he did.
After the play, Ozzie waits a beat, and now he runs towards center, trying to decoy Bernansky.
But Tom didn't buy it. Lindemann, 45 feet from home, and the pitch bunted at and missed for a strike. 1-2.
I'll tell you, Al, the interesting thing about the Cardinal defense right now, it's at its weakest on the corners. Normally, they would be having the rotation play on with Terry Pendleton coming in, but since Lawless is at third, lacks the experience on the rotation play, they're forced to play it straight up. The rotation play, the shortstop goes to third, the third baseman charges, the second baseman goes to first with the first baseman charging.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He swings away, pops it up in foul ground, playable for Lindemann. A big out. A big out. Still runners at first and second. Brunansky is the go-ahead run. And Herbeck at first. And now Lombardozzi is being called back, and they will go to the bench. And it will be Roy Smalley on his 35th birthday. There's Gladden, who will be next. And Smalley now, the switch hitter, coming up.
One for 2 in this World Series. Both the bats off Worrell. Fly ball the other night in St. Louis, double here in the second game to left center field. So he's seen Worrell. He knows how hard he throws. He's seen the movement of the ball. And he still, I don't know if that's good enough preparation, because we're talking about a guy that can throw.
So Smalley coming up. Smalley is a switch hitter. He had 275 during the regular season. As a left-handed batter, he hit .277. He very rarely comes up right-handed. He was at the early stage of the year the left-handed DH on a full-time basis. But now he comes off the bench.
Matter of fact, I take it back. He did get the double here, but he's the one that hit the ball that Lindemann booted. Hit the ball very hard off Worrell that took a short hop and went by Lindemann into right field. Could have been a base hit, but they scored it as an error. So he the ball sharply both times up.
One and oh. Strike. 1-1. Last pitch. Two and one.
Change up his third pitch. Of course, he knows that Smalley is an excellent fastball hitter, but you would think best against best. Don't want to get hurt with your third best pitch in this situation.
Half swing, 2-2.
You're wondering why you swing at a bad pitch. As a hitter, you have to get the bat started. We saw early in the game all the high pitches that Viola was throwing. Get the bat started, and you can't stop it once you see the ball zoom out of the strike zone.
Two and two on Smalley with 2 on, 1 out. Bottom of the 6th inning. A 2-2 tie. In on it. So the count is full.
Now do you send the runners? I wouldn't.
I don't. Jim?
No, not at all. Strikeout pitcher, catcher Lake that can throw. Smalley, first one to admit that if he doesn't play a lot, he strikes out more than he usually does.
They go. High, ball 4. They're loaded. Three walks and the bases are loaded with 1 out. And Dan Glatton, who hit a grand slam a week ago last night, is the batter. And Al Newman, who will go in to play second base, is the pinch runner for Smalley. Bases loaded, 1 out. Cardinal infield double play depth. Hooking foul.
You see Pena right there talking about the ball being up with Worrell. I said Steve Lake, I beg your pardon, talking about the ball being up. And what's got to concern Whitey Herzog is the fact that Gladden can get around on that high fastball and pull it foul. No damage, but that means he's not throwing as well.
1-1, snap throw to Lindemann. Newman back.
Well, I believe that one of Todd Worrell's strength is more velocity than movement. So it's a matter of timing. And if he gets the ball in the middle of the plate, he's not going to be as effective. He'll tell you the more I pitch, the better I pitch. And he has not been used that often in the last couple of days.
One and two.
That's how a guy like Worrell is going to get you out with a runner at third in less than 2 outs. Pop you up or strike you out. It's rare that he gets a lot of double play balls.
Brunansky, the go-ahead run at third. Hrbek at second. The pinch runner Newman at first. Got him. He chased it for the second out.
We talked about the fastball. Now look at the slider. Second better pitch. Very tight. As we said, a slider slides. You look like it's a fastball. You go out to hit it, and it slides away from you and down. Of course, he set him up with about 496 miles per hour fastballs, 95, whatever.
So your second pitch becomes your best pitch.
Did then.
Gagne up and in. We're talking about sliding. What about Lake on that last play and the pressure on a Steve Lake right now?
Well, he has had some physical pressure on him twice. One from Don Baylor and the other from Gary Gaetti.
One and one. Bases loaded, 2 down. Brunansky, Hrbek, Newman. Two and one. Rourke, good luck being heard above this den.
Telling Tom Lawless may go into the dugout.
Lawless had to call time. Lawless has to go tell something to Worrell. Maybe Tom saw what Rourke was trying to say.
And the only guy who could, for whom he would get his attention, was Tom Lawless. There's Lawless saying, me? All right, just a second.
Again, it does come back to communication. Whether it's fly balls, it's just difficult to communicate here. You have to have your head in the dugout, which is somewhat of a distraction.
Again, a right-handed pitcher can't see over the Cardinal dugout.
Two and two. Still 2 and 2. Three walks in the inning. Bases loaded, 2 out, 2-2 tie. And they pick up the tradition down in the pen because the ringleader, Newman, is at first base. Full count, the runners will go. Ground ball, Wallace stabs it, throws a one-hopper, too late. Twins lead.
See Greg Gagne on the fist, and then Wallace makes an excellent play, saves one run, nosedive. We talked about his lack of arm strength. You should look at it from another angle. Saves one run right here, but makes the only throw he can on one hop. Gagne well across the bag.
You know, Jim, with the runners running and Newman's speed, he might have saved 2 runs with that play.
3-2 Twins, and Puckett coming to the plate.
What a ball game.
And that's what you have to do. I mean, he's got 5 out of his last 6 at-bats. He's gotten hits, and he's hit the ball sharply. But again, what they've done the last 2 days is throw him strikes. First 5 ball games, they didn't throw Kirby too many strikes, similar to what we just saw.
Strike 2.
Now you really put that theory to the test. You cannot throw a strike on this pitch. A high fastball, a slider away.
Just off the plate, low and away. You got to go to extremes, but you got to relax and let the ball go. You don't aim it.
1-2.
Again, we're talking a guy with 28 home runs. We haven't seen any power in postseason play with the exception of that line drive to center. But he can turn on a ball, something he couldn't do 2 years ago.
That is back out of play. A ball and 2 strikes. Morel took something off it.
Well, it's that slider they struck Glavine out on. Now, again, we talked about it yesterday. A lot of times you'll get a breaking ball up that will be up just high enough where the hitter thinks he can hit it, but he can't. That ball a little bit lower, we're talking 4 runs.
Foul tip held by Lake. Strike 3. They get a run to take the lead. 3-2 Twins after 6. Back after this from your local station.